And so this lean canvas that you have with all your information then is going to be the framework for your business plan. And your business plan will have 9 sections in it. Your business plan will have those 9 sections. And your key management might appear in your unfair advantage or your unique value advantage, or you might add 1 section on management and have a 10-section business plan. So this canvas, when you think this canvas out, you put your business on the canvas, it's on the screen, then informs your business plan. Then if you are making presentations about your business to your bank, to a lending institution, to investors, this canvas and this book inform your PowerPoint. You literally can have 9 slides. Done. And if you are in Silicon Valley and you're talking to investors, they will always want to see your lean canvas and your lean startup. They will ask you, they will look for you to describe your business in those 9 steps. Now you can find a lot of variations on this. There are a lot of great tutorials on this on YouTube. The guy who started this was a guy named Ash Maurya. And his book was called Running Lean. And you can Google him. His last name is spelt like this. His first name is Ash, and his last name is Maurya, M-A-U-R-Y-A. Ash Maurya. I would highly, highly, highly encourage you to step back from your business, spend a weekend or take a day off and run your business through a lean methodology, especially the first 3 steps. Especially the first 3 steps, because that will make all the difference in the world. All right, I'm going to stop talking and open the floor to some questions on this before we open to the floor to some questions on whatever else is on your minds. Hey, Lee. Hey, Laura.
So with these 30 people that you find, where are you finding these 30 people from?
Good question. Well put. What's the problem you're going to solve? Tell me the problem. I'll tell you where you find the people. So if my business is in trauma, I'm going to talk to some police people, fire, EMS, police, fire, EMS. Who's the 4th one? I always forget. Military. And I'm going to talk to women who have been traumatized. For me, 30 people is easy. I've got 5 subsets, 6 people each. Is the trauma in your life, is the trauma in your career a real world problem? Is it holding you back? Is it impacting you? Really quick questionnaire, maybe 4 or 5 questions. If I was doing birth traumas, I would talk to doulas to talk to their clients. If I was talking about exam anxiety, I would go talk to counselors at universities or high schools, right? Or I would run just a focus group. Hey, I'm holding a focus group. I want to discuss exam anxiety and the implications of it. And I would start the meeting with, is this a problem? Right? So tell me what you're thinking your market is, and I'll tell you where to find the people. Was that Tanya that asked that question? And she's gone. Her car went off the road. I'm joking. Another question, Liz. No mic. It's open mic night.
It's probably better that way. Anyways, I would like to move into the trauma area. I am NLP prac.
Yeah.
I have PACE.
Yeah.
what is my path, Alan? To be good takes time, but to be competent is important to me, of course, not to drop the ball. What's my path?
Good question. Well put. So trauma's big. I don't do birth traumas, right? I don't generally go after automobile traumas. Huge market, right? So again, even within the field of trauma, you can narrow it down, right? I work with a lot of women who are on ODSP, who have been sexually traumatized throughout their life and are having a challenge supporting themselves or get through. I didn't plan that. It just came to me. That universe came to me. And now I'm very, very focused on it.
Right.
So how do you get good? I said, I think I would have said this back when you were doing PACE. I would do 6 people for like $500. I'd say, look, I normally charge $2,500 for a trauma breakthrough, but I'm doing a new protocol that, I was taught and I'm mastering, and I would like to help you clear your trauma for $500. I would do 5 at $500. And then I would do 5 at 1,000 and 5 at 1,500, and now you're 15 and you'll be golden. We had one grad who had prac and PACE, and she had a trauma client, her first client after she finished prac and PACE. And I don't want to get anybody triggered here, but she lost her child. Her father-in-law ran over her own child. Massively traumatized. And my brand new prac PACE grad, that was her first client using PACE. And I just said to the grad, she did the trauma intervention in our office. I said, look, my office is 3 offices over. You're not going to need me, but if you're here, just call me. And she did it. She went straight off the script, Liz, as God is my witness. And it was done.
Alan, if I had proximity to you, despite the fact that I believe in the process, it's proven, it would make my confidence level go up. It's like a virtual handhold, I guess. So the thing is, what I've been offered is, if you don't mind me just elaborating more, is to work with universities, through a university sponsored, counseling group, specifically by the director, who's looking to expand the modalities that she can offer these kids. Yep. She's very open to NLP being one of them. They're all MSWs, right? They're just, in studies, graduated, whatever. I said, this is what I do. She said, absolutely. My directive is to grow this and to offer more and better and whatever. And I said, that's great. My concern, here we go, throw it out there, is I'm going to get deep with some kid. It's not just about them being at university. It's about all the stuff they bring with them, right? So I need to be, here we go. I want to be skilled enough to not drop the ball on this kid. Maybe that speaks to my integrity on how much I care. Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? I don't want this to be my practice ground. And yet, like you said, that woman first day, client out of PACE, she ends up with this massive situation. I guess I shouldn't be doubting myself.
Well,
but,
so
it matters.
So just between us kids, I do trauma. Person walks in the door with post-traumatic stress. I test them using 2 international tests. I prove they have trauma. I don't deal with the trauma. I do PACE. Okay. I do the intake. I do the how do you behave when you're not behaving well. I do PACE exactly. I do the trauma intervention.
Problem. Okay.
Everything. I do PACE from stem to stern. And I know they're traumatized. It's so easy to go right after the trauma, clear the trauma. But the reason they're traumatized is because they have adverse childhood experiences that are unresolved. And to go straight to the trauma, to me, is a disservice. So I still do PACE. And I've done hundreds and hundreds of clients. I can clear trauma in 12 minutes. I still do PACE. I still do the the presenting problem, root problem, the 13 questions, the Cartesian coordinates. I do it all. I do Big 5 plus shame, plus guilt, plus rage. I do the core transformations to integrate the problem part into the whole. And that is setting the conditions for success, Liz. And that shit is a walk in the park. There's no risk. And if your client abreacts, if they have an abnormal reaction, you break state, have them look up, see a billboard, then have them breathe and go into peripheral vision, and then fire the resource anchor. They get calm, say, cool, let's keep going. That's the only thing you ever have to do. Somebody gets all revved up, break state, have go in peripheral vision, fire the resource anchor, maybe stand up, walk around the room twice, sit back down, go again. You know, there's nothing that can happen in a session that you can't break the state and get them in a positive place.
And then can I take them into a trauma intervention based clear trauma and then bring them back? Say we're doing limiting beliefs and somehow they hit a trauma on the timeline. Like you said, pull them out of it, go into a trauma, intervention, a modality technique, and then bring them back to their timeline and go from there? Or?
Well, if you remember PACE though, trauma, significant emotional events, traumas come before limiting decisions. So when you do the timeline scan and you get all the stuff of their life, you're going to have cleared, if they're traumatized, you're going to clear at least one trauma, but I'm going to suggest you'll always end up clearing approximately 3. And those have a ripple effect through everything, right? They have a ripple. So you've cleared the big 5 plus additional ones. You've cleared these traumas. You've cleared some significant events. Now and only then you're at limiting decisions, right? So again, PACE was set up to set the conditions for success.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
It's set up. You just go in and you don't worry about the end. You just worry about the session you're in. You don't focus on the end. You focus on the end of the session you're in. So many people make the mistake. They start focusing on, being at the top of Kilimanjaro and they don't pack the right shoes or the right food or the right water at base camp, right? They're all thinking about high-fiving at the top of Kili, but they don't do the groundwork at the foundation, right? So PACE, step 1 and step 2 of PACE are so rigorous and so thorough, and they get you in such deep rapport with your client before you go into the trauma. Because you're right, you need ninja skills. If a person walks in my room and I go straight after the trauma, you want to have your ninja game on, right? A ninja game comes with time. So you're starting out and again, I've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of clients now. I do not go after the trauma. I lay the conditions for success. And the only time I would go after a trauma directly is when I'm teaching publicly and I have a live demo.
Right.
But in the back room, before I talk to them, the person commits that after we leave here, I'm going to hand them off to a counselor of my choice and they're going to finish the process. I will not let a person, no. And when we clear trauma, you imagine some 17 or 18-year-old that heavily traumatized, and we clear their trauma and then set them free. Hit them, set them free. But we haven't fixed their adverse childhood experiences, which gets healed in step 2 and step 3. And now without their trauma, we don't help them write a new narrative about who they are.
Right.
Well, they're probably going to get back into talking about how they're a traumatized person.
Right. I've known someone. Yeah. That actually.
You got to do step 4 and step 5, because every time we have the memory, we can activate it and make it bad or good. You want to leave them at step 5. At step 5, my clients talk about having been traumatized and laugh about it. Can't believe it, man. I hadn't slept for 8 years, and then that weirdo Alan did that ninja mind shit with me, and now I sleep.
Is there somewhere I can I find that the first couple sections of PACE for me personally to be a really, really difficult, really deep dive. I kind of get lost in that because it's heavy. Let's be honest, it's heavy. And the people come with a lot of stuff that I'm trying to unpack, and I don't feel like I have the skill set to, as you know from my email when I was in PACE, to pinpoint, and that's experience, I get it, but pinpoint what the presented problem, root problem, their strategy, all that stuff. I have a hard time myself getting quickly clear on that because it's a lot.
So let me help you here. Is everybody okay if I go on a little diversion and go into PACE for a sec? Is everybody okay with that? Yeah. So the PPs, the presenting problem. There is no the one. The one doesn't exist. the one that you have to get. I need a presenting problem, some problem that I can list, and I don't care if it's this one, this one, this one, this one, or this one. I need a presenting problem so I can elicit a strategy, and that gets the person beyond their reticular activating system into their unconscious mind, where they're now both analysts and experiencing their problem. And the whole goal there is to get to a root problem. And there is no the root problem. There are just root problems.
Okay.
There is no the, right? And I want a root problem, and the confirmation of the root problem is I've done it all my life. When was the first time this happened? I was 2. If it's before 7 or my whole life, you've got a root problem. Why do we get a root problem? And then we do the rest of the questions 3 through 12. You're in their reticular activating system. You're beyond the reticular activating system. You're in their unconscious mind. They're getting at an unconscious level of understanding that a problem has existed their whole life, that has manifested and allowed them to be exposed. And in the world you want to enter, Liz, trauma specifically, those root problems leave them vulnerable. So this is not complex. This is not heavy. This is very light. This is very illuminating. And of all the things in PACE, this is the heaviest piece of PACE right here, that strategy page. And it's heavy because people overthink it. They're looking for the. The doesn't exist. There is no the root problem, and there is no the presenting problem. There are just presenting problems and root problems. We need a presenting problem with its strategy to get to the root problem, to get the next 9 questions out, to get to question 13.
Okay, I thought it was, I was deep diving with them and pulling out that one thing for the whole breakthrough. When in fact, it's a way to loosen things up, and to bring them through the process.
Yeah, and when you do that, when you're finished the process in step 5 and step 6, it says fire the trigger for the presenting problem, fire the trigger for the root problem, and see if they still go to that behavior. And in step 5 and step 6, that trigger for the presenting problem will lead to a new behavior, and that trigger for the root problem will lead to a new behavior. No, I'm calm. When that happens, I'm calm. When that happens, no, I'm good. I'm relaxed. When that happens, I know I just laughed it off. All right? And that's how you know. But we talk about getting in rapport. PACE is designed, we get in physiological rapport. The ZTPI gets us deep into their thought process. The meta programs allows us to get into rapport with their unconscious mind. This gets us in rapport with their unconscious mind deep inside. Questions 1, why are we here, through question 12. You ask your unconscious mind, is there anything else, or is it all right with your unconscious mind to support us in removing this problem? This is all deep unconscious rapport. This is all deep unconscious rapport.
I love the timeline, the whole clearing. I love the actual practice part of it, where I'm leading them through.
Yeah.
I eat that up. It seems so natural. It's just like I said, the beginning. I'm overthinking. I'm overthinking it, looking for the problem that they're going to come out on the other end without, which seems like a big responsibility.
Yeah, and remember, every step in PACE, we meet the client where they arrive, we go somewhere deep and dark, and we come out at a much better place. And so when you're doing step 1, you come out at Cartesian coordinates, resource anchor, and peripheral vision, which is, they came here, you got into, I've done it all my life, You know, my mother's involved, my father's involved, there's secondary gain in it, there's a purpose for the problem. When we leave on a resource anchor and peripheral vision. Step one, right? And every one of Tara and my clients come back and say, I know we were only information gathering, but I feel different.
Yep. Yep.
Because they see and experience the possibility of success. They experience the problem is different.
Yep.
All right, somebody else asked a question about lean startup.
Do you mind reviewing for me what you might have answered to my previous question since I hit a dead zone in my forest drive home?
Oh, did you ask a question inside the chat? Oh, what was your question? I answered it.
Where do the 30 people come from?
Oh, cool.
And then the forest
right,
fairies
tell
took
me.
over.
Tell me what the real world problem you're going to solve.
Oh, anxiety, burnout.
Anxiety and burnout. Anxiety and burnout. So this is a corporate anxiety, a corporate burnout, career burnout.
Could be mom burnout. It could
Okay.
be.
Well, so those are two different segments. Okay. So if your overarching problem is anxiety burnout, when you get here, you got customer segments, moms or career, right? And if you have men and women, that might manifest different. So if it's anxiety and burnout, if it's moms, I go ask moms. I talk to 30 moms. Is anxiety a problem for you? How do you do it? When do you do it? What do you do it about? If it's career burnout, I would interview 30 people. I'd run an ad or find 30 people and I just interview them. I create 5 to 10 question questionnaire about, is anxiety and burnout a problem? Could be in police services, could be in EMS, right? Or if you know your customer segments are moms, police, financial services, I would find 10 people from each segment and note. You might also, if it's anxiety and burnout and it's career, talk to HR people, to HR associations. So you know your avatar, look inside your avatar for 30 people. So if I was selling security systems, am I selling home or commercial security? And the real world problem is B&Es. So I go interview 30 homeowners, knock on the door and say, look, we're a security company. Here's my credentials. And we're just surveying the neighborhood. Has crime been high in your neighborhood? Yes. Have there been B&Es? Yes. Do you know anybody's broken in? Cool. And I wouldn't do it. Thank you very much for your time. I'd leave. That's a check mark. It's real in this neighborhood, right? So you have to have real world. That's where the 30 people come from. And I said, if I was doing birth anxiety, I'd talk to doulas and midwives. If I was doing exam anxiety, I would talk to students. I would talk to career counselors, right? I would find a segment where what you're going to deal with would fit really well.
And do you ask those first 3 questions to the same 30 people or do you?
Yeah.
Okay, you go back to the same people.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, and the efficiency expert here online said, why don't you ask all 3 questions at one time? Because the first person you get might go all the way to there, and that's the last person. The next 29 reject your real world problem. So you get 30 real world problems and 30 solution check marks and get 30 price. And again, you can tweak or pivot. If you're getting 25, 26, 27 positive responses, you tweak it, you make it a little better. But if you're getting 15 to 20 responses, you're going to have to do a pivot. You're going to have to do what's called a pivot, but Ash Mariah explains that.
Cool. Thanks for sharing that with us.
No worries. Other questions?
So relative to those 30 people, you say to them, I'm going to come back with a couple other questions.
Yeah.
So you
Oh, yeah,
prep-
I asked permission. I would ask permission. Would it be okay if I come back? You know, we want to know if this is a problem. If we come up with a solution, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
You can see how different that is than normal business planning. Normal people sit in their bedroom, they write a business plan, they think they have a problem, they think they have a solution, they think the price point, they go out and they fall flat on their nose because the problem really wasn't a problem, their solution isn't right, and their price point sucks.
Right.
And they've already invested, they've already second mortgaged their house or borrowed money from their mother or something, and it's too late.
Question relative to my avatar. So I'm looking to work with people that in the career space. So people that are not loving what they do in their job or career, that are looking for a change, women kind of 40 to 60. And so my segments, what would your...
Here.
Mhm.
Oh, well, that's cool. Women who aren't happy what they do. That is huge. Are they factory workers or are they white collar? There's two segments.
Okay. So
Are they in the nonprofit or for-profit segment? There's a
Okay.
potential two segments, right? Are they women at the lower pay, sort of less than 75 a year, or are they the 150 plus women you're after? Those are market segments, you
Right.
know,
Okay.
75 or less, 75 to 150, 150 and above. So you can segment out your market really quickly. Because the burnout issue with somebody under 75K and the burnout issue with somebody over 150K is a total different solution at a total different price point
Right.
and a total different channel to get to them.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And the other thing I wanted to ask was, as far as, and I guess it is going through all of those questions, but you know, we've got the kind of the premium piece of doing, you know, a paced breakthrough is kind of that big piece. And other than the, you know, discovery call is, or doing a core transformation piece, is there other pieces that you guys offer to clients? Or
I do not, but Tara does a 3-month or a 12-month program, right? If somebody's looking to overcome something and then have a coach, but the brilliance of building it that way is I won't work with somebody who's not what I call clean. I don't want to work with anybody who hasn't had an emotional breakthrough with us first, right? Long term, because you'll end up bumping into all the things over the course of the year that you would have bumped into in the first 3 weeks and got rid of, right? So you want to get that done. But yeah, you could add on a every 3 weeks. I like 3 weeks. Some people like 2, some people like 4. I like 3 because it fits that 21-day cycle that what they say creates new habits. So you deal with a problem, you give them tasks, they do the task for 21 days, now they have new habits, right? So that's an add-on that we do. That's the primary add-on that we do here. I don't do any add-ons in the trauma field except prophylaxis. So, you know, I can do, if you want, I can do a 20-minute check-in, 30-minute check-in every year and test if you've been re-traumatized.
Okay. And I guess I was looking for the smaller taster kind of things in that, you know, because it's a bigger investment and when you are newer at it and don't have the same referral base, having something that is going to make an impact in someone's life, you know, a 2-3 hour kind of thing.
Oh, you know, I've done that with some people at times, but they are early adopters or key influencers. So like with a critical incident manager at a fire department, I said, why don't you come in for 2 hours and I'll give you an experience of what it's like to do this work. But knowing that at the end of that, she was going to sign up in my mind for a full breakthrough.
And what did you do with her? Like what?
Right, were you here on the night I did the Inception protocol? Do you remember?
I missed that.
Yeah. So I do a strategy. I find a problem. I do a strategy. I'll do an intervention of some form, whether it's a trauma intervention or followed by a core transformation, limiting decision, and some anchoring. 90 minutes, fast.
Okay.
No coaching, no talking, no anything. Just here's what it feels like to go through our system. Here's why it's so work. It's not intrusive. You know, it's content free. You know, but I only do that for really key influencers. People who are, I'm not going to do that to get a one-off sale. I think to do one-off sales, that you don't have to do magic. What you have to do is manipulation. And I say that gently and kindly. It's Tony Robbins does it the most brilliant. He gets us, it's like a mini Cartesian coordinates.
Mm.
So just close your eyes for a moment and run out to the future 5 years. If you keep doing what you're doing today, if this problem persists and you keep going down the path you're going, where will you be? Where will you be living? What will your relationships be like? What will your career be like? What will your finances be like? Now focus on your own personal health. Go. Come on back to now. So, you know, let's say that you got past your problem, you started getting your goals. Now go out 5 or 10 years. What are you doing? And just that's quick pain pleasure relationship, right? You're using the move away from pain and the move towards pleasure. And then we don't close hard here, right? I don't know if you guys know that we don't close hard. We do a very soft close or a takeaway, what feels like a takeaway close. When you're ready, sign up. I'm just going to introduce you to Sam. When you're ready, just call Sam. She'll register you. She'll take all your details. It's very nonchalant. It's like, I've given you the pain and the pleasure. Now it's up to you to decide. There's no pressure. There's no documents. There's nothing. But again, we have enough incoming in that, we're not desperate for that person across the table to sign up. And anytime we have been desperate and because we could talk anybody into doing almost anything, to be fair, we know some NLP trainers that are gifted at talking people into doing things. It just causes problems down the road. You want your client to be a client. The last step has to be they choose you.
Mhm.
So that discovery call has to be thorough enough. They have to be aware of what not addressing their problem will cost them. And they have to be aware of the benefits of working with you, which is, the pain pleasure relationship. And then let them have the freedom to decide. Tara and I could tell you stories, but we won't, about people we've, talked into doing business with us only it wasn't worth it, right? They didn't pick us. And again, I've shared this before, husbands of wives that Tara's working with, and the wife is getting fabulous results with the wife and says to the husband, you have to work with Alan. No, I won't do that anymore, ever. He didn't come looking for me. He did not seek me out, right?
You guys hear me or no?
Sorry?
You can hear me. Okay.
I can.
Lee, I think that it's really worthwhile to let people know that that you're not really in the business of doing one-off work, because I think it really, first of all, it's true, right? All of us know that, like, you can change some minor things. You can definitely create some change, and every once in a while, you'll run into something that you really can do in 1 or 2 sessions. Like Al and I have both done phobia work just in a session or 2. And that's very possible, right? Like, I've had a woman and the mother of a client of mine who had a phobia of cats, wanted to go on a vacation where there was going to be cats. That's the kind of thing that, like, sure, I think I did 2 sessions with her to get rid of this fear of cats. But that's, I had to be exceptionally clear that was all we were doing, right? But aside from that, I think that it really, really benefits your client, and it's really, like, it really creates a sense of trust between you when you let them know that, like, I could do one-time sessions and, charge just for one, but I really believe that the work needs to be done in a bigger, setting. And I know, I do it this way for a reason and all that kind of stuff. What I find is most important to people is that they feel like that they're not going to give you their money and then regret it, right? If somebody can't afford you, like if somebody does not have enough money to pay for a breakthrough, then you probably, I don't know, I mean, it's up to you, but like, you probably they're not really your client anyway, right? So if they actually don't have the money, and that's why they don't want to, pay the whole thing or whatever. But normally I find if you let them know that this is a process and that it does cost X, whatever you're charging for the process, and that you only do the process because you believe in it so much. I always say to my clients, it takes a couple of sessions just to get the momentum going. There is some foundational work here that has to happen before we can get into the really powerful, profound stuff. But by a session like 3 or 4, this is just not your thing. This isn't for you. Then no harm done. I am never going to keep your money if you feel like this just isn't working for you. And I would ask you not to make that decision after the first or second session, because we need those sessions just to be able to really thoroughly, effectively create this change for you. But if 3-4 sessions in, this isn't for you, then I will charge you for my time. And anything that you've paid above and beyond that, we'll happily give that back to you. Because the last thing in the world I want, or you want, right, is to have somebody out there who is saying like, hey man, and I joke about it. I'm like, selfishly, I don't want people out there who are like, yeah, I gave Tara, $2,000 and then I didn't like it and she just kept all my money. Like, I'm not going to do that to my karma. I'm not going to do that to my reputation, nor do I want that, right? I don't want your money just because I want your money. I want to create change for you. And so, whether or not you have the capacity to set up a way where they can pay in increments or, whatever it is, but I find that way they really, and if you need to put it in writing, you put it in writing, make sure that you would get, and truly no harm, no foul, right? Like if they do 3 sessions with you and say, listen, I really don't think this is for me, they're still going to pay you whatever you're charging, right? You're $450 if it's $150, whatever the thing is, right? So you're still going to make money on your time. So you're not giving away free time, but you've really left them the option of feeling like they can try this. And 9 times out of 10, by the time they get to that 3rd and 4th session, you've really made progress, right? You've really done some profound stuff with them and they're really excited about where it's going and they're not going to back out. But then you haven't compromised what we do by saying like, I'll do 1 session and then I'll do, when Al talks about his inception and what I do, that's for clients who've already done the work with us. 99% of them, they've already done a breakthrough with us, or at least they've done NLP work with somebody else, right? Sometimes it's like somebody who's been referred to me because they did a breakthrough with somebody else and then now they want to do something different. And so they, right? Like, but I think that you really don't want to get into this work. I've seen it so many times with so many coaches where they'll be like, yeah, I did, 2 sessions with this NLP coach and, okay, well, yeah. That makes sense?
It does make sense. And why I put this out there was when I'd done an exchange. I'm in a marketing group. And so with this person, we were kind of exchanging services. And then she was like, and she's had profound shift in doing my work with her. And yet she said, it's a big investment. So is there anything that you can do so people get a taste of your work? And I'm like, not really so that was why I was like, okay, is there any way? And it just so happens someone else that knows me was wanting to talk to me about coaching around their business. And I said, I do a free discovery call. And I think she thinks it's like a one-off. We haven't chatted yet, but my sense is that she wants to hire me for a couple hours. And I kind of know she's a fast kind of person. So she would never want to go that deep with me. So I thought, is there anything I could even provide any value that would make an
All that said, Lee, people do core transformation work all the time. The groups I work in, I'm doing another training right now with the Andreas group, and the core transformation world, they do one-off core transformations all the time. People call.
If somebody asked me to do that, and I'd say, look, I'm gonna do a technique on you that's like 1/100th of what we do when we do a full protocol. Is there anything you're anxious about coming up in the future? Is there an event, a presentation, a meeting you're anxious about? Yeah, float out in the future, 15 minutes past it. Do the anxiety model on them. So how do you feel now? I don't feel anything. Exactly. And that's what we can do with NLP. Or is there a food group you like to eat that you shouldn't really eat? Do a like to dislike, have them try and eat it, right? Or as Tara said, core transformations, people always find them spiritually uplifting. Just say, look, I'll give you an example of one technique, but I wouldn't spend 2 hours. And I would not address a problem. I would say, here, I'll let you, here's what a technique might feel like, but it's like 1/100th. You're getting 1% of the package that we deliver. But here, sure, 30 minutes. You can do a core transformation, like to dislike, anxiety models, all. I would never, ever, ever do a trauma model as a demo, as a magic show. But we've used like to dislike as a magic show a lot. I call it magic because it's so effective, right? We love doing the like to dislike, and the anxiety model is profound. It's profound. How did you do that? Why don't I feel anxious right now?
Yeah. Right. Okay. Thank you.
Liz.
Yeah.
What about the spinning thoughts, like that one, where they
spin one way and then spin, and it's quick. I mean, it's kind of a little bit of submodality, but
It's a little Andreas magic that they could do. I mean, that's the thing that I don't like getting into is coping stuff. Because you can go to any counselor, any coach, anything, and that's what you're going to get are things that are like, so when you're not actually resolving anything, you're just giving people tools to deal with the emotions when they happen, which
Right.
I personally, I don't, I always say to people, even things like peripheral vision, guys, I mean, that is something that brings somebody present. It's so valuable. It's so important that they know how to do it. But all those things that are dealing with the emotions, you want to make sure that you're framing them as like, sure, stuff is going to come up. And when stuff comes up, here's something you can do. But our job, what we're able to do that other people can't do nearly as effectively and as quickly and as thoroughly as we do, by and large, is get to the root of the problem and resolve the problem so that you don't have to do that stuff, right? So that
Right.
you don't have to be doing it. And it doesn't, you still want them to have the tools because life is life. But
Liz, go back to the spinning one. I don't do any demos of ones that's spinning because it's been my experience that those techniques look more like sorcery than a technique like core transformation. Core transformation, you're bypassing the reticular activating system, you're getting into their unconscious mind. It's more in line with our coaching work than the spin technique. So if I'm going to do something, the like to dislike again is a deep past the reticular activating system. I truly like the spin technique. I use it all the time with clients in various times, but I don't do that as a demo, even as powerful it is, if that makes sense. More questions about the lean startup, and then I'll turn, well, I can turn the page right now if anybody else has any other questions. No? So cool. So what other questions do we have tonight?
I have a question.
And you are? What's your name? Sue.
Miss Sue.
Wait, you have to turn off your camera so Tara can see your avatar before you go on.
Oh, okay. My phone is ringing off the hook right now because of this whole issue. And I hate to even bring this up because this is something that's very personal and I don't like to tell anybody what to do, but I'm just trying to help people be peaceful in their own mind with their decisions. And it's all about COVID. And, I am a studio owner and, my clients are calling me because, as of September 22nd, they have to show that they've been vaccinated. And I do work with a population of people who, have issues such as lupus and they might be cancer survivors or whatever. And many of them, which I'm quite surprised, I've only had one who's been exempt, can have a certificate that says they don't have to have it. So they're all saying that they have to have proof. They're not exempt. And they are so torn apart about this that they're literally coming to pieces. And I'm like, and they want to do a breakthrough. And I'm like, you know what? I don't know if this is appropriate. I just don't know if it's appropriate for that. So your thoughts, I want your thoughts on that.
I need more info. So they want you to do a breakthrough to help them get over what specifically?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm asking them. That's exactly what I'm asking. Because, they're so confused in their mind that, some people it's more political. Other people it's more that they think that there's something in the vaccine, or they just don't want their human rights taken away from them. Or maybe it's a trust issue that I can see maybe, it's they don't trust the world or what's in the vaccine.
Yeah. Okay.
But now they're going to not be allowed to come into the studio, if I'm put in that position, because I don't even know, they haven't given me direction as to how I'm supposed to handle this. But so I'm kind of like, whoa, I feel like the balls are in the air.
Wow.
Mm.
That's big. Are you is it up to you? Do you have your center is,
well, as far as I know, it's not up to me. Like as of September 22nd, and I'm waiting to see if there's going to be a protocol here. People will have to show me that they have been certified to come into the studio.
Yes, what I'm asking
in person.
is would you have the interest And do you have the ability, B, to bypass that? You know?
I don't know.
Like, here's the thing too, we're supposed to do that too. Our building is supposed to be, you know, we're supposed to, and we're not going to.
Mhm.
If we're not going to ask for passports, I don't know. I don't think that can put us in jail. I don't think they can give us a fine. I think what they can do is maybe come get mad at us or something like that. But because we own the center, you know, because we own our business and that's our center, we're simply not going to ask one way or the other, you know.
Well, yeah, and because your business hasn't been targeted, like I would be, even though I'm not a gym, I'm lumped into.
Oh, I see. Okay, right. Yes.
So
No,
I have a
yeah.
specific standard because I'm labeled
Yeah.
a that, and I have many people in the room who don't know each other coming in, and maybe some of them are very close, maybe they're not.
Yeah.
You cannot control what they're doing outside of when they come into the studio. They follow protocol when they're in there for cleaning and cleansing
Yeah.
and all that. But you know, I can see I could end up with a bigger problem here.
Do you support it, but Sue? Do you support the choice that everyone should have choice?
I believe everybody should be able to have the choice.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know, man. That is that's a hard position.
And I just see
don't know.
the tormented mind that they have over this, that they're, you know, just extremely distraught over it. And I don't even, you know, and I can see there's so many issues going on. I'm like, whoa, like where do we start? We got to go back to those first 7 years, right?
Okay,
but
that can be directed for sure, right? Like there is appropriate times to have all sorts of emotions, right? I've done some pretty great work recently with people who have a tremendous amount of anger and, you know, rage even, and fear. I don't know. Fear is never useful, right? Fear is never a useful place to be, ever, ever, ever. So if you can just help people clear the fear, whether it's fear of the virus, fear of the vaccine, fear of fear is not useful. But, you know, anger is a pretty useful emotion to have when it has a directed outlet with an outcome, right? An intended outcome. So
I'm going to remind you of that next time I'm angry. Hey, this is useful.
when it has a useful target and outcome. There's a place for anger, right? I mean, I think it is appropriate that when people feel like their freedoms are being taken away, you know, the reasons, you know, whether you agree or disagree about those, if those freedoms are truly freedoms that, you know, blah, 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 all that shit, who cares? If they personally hold a belief that there is action to be taken, I think there's amazing work to be done to clean up those emotions so that they can really make them actionable, right? So what I've done, like I had a woman I was working with a week and a half ago who's, you know, very sort of anti everything, really, 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 really feeling the negativity of all this. And when we cleared things up, what she ended up feeling like was the noise went away. So the noise around like what to pay attention to, what to get riled up about, what to be like, how to be making her decisions and everything. What she ended up feeling was a clarity of like, okay, here's my issue. My issue is X, Y, Z. And then we had the conversation about like, okay, what do you think is possible for you to do that is productive, that you're going to lay your head down at night and feel like you're contributing to the betterment of society, whatever side that's on. Again, who gives a shit, right? As long as you can put your head down on your pillow at night and feel like, yep, if I could redo today, I would do it the same way because I expressed myself or I joined I don't know, whatever, you know, whatever the thing is. And it was really, really, really deeply peaceful and relieving to her to have gotten rid of all that noisy anger, all the noisy distraction, all the like fear,